Hey everybody, and welcome back to FSi DFS. Looking at the 6-game main slate here for Thursday as we head into really the end of the season. This is going to be my last video of the year, so I just want to give a big thanks to all of you for following along throughout the course of it all. We've definitely had some highs, and there's definitely been some lows too. I mean, it's DFS, it's baseball, it's going to be happening, but overall, I had a blast. It was great, all the support that you guys have given us throughout. We are still going to have another video tomorrow, but Mega Ruler is going to be covering that one, and that one will be our final one for the regular season. And what a terrible slate this is to wrap up of my season here with you guys. We got 6 games going and like no top tier offenses. We don't have the Yankees, we don't have the Phillies, we don't have the Dodgers, the Orioles, Cleveland, throw Atlanta in there, San Diego recently. So like, it's ugly. Like, pitching is, I mean, you got Michael Wacha as your SP1 on the board. Was not expecting to say that sentence here this season, but it is what it is. But with the bad pitching, they're also going to be facing poor offenses. So let's just dive right in. It's going to be really intriguing to kind of see where this all shakes out. Kind of already highlighted, Michael Wacha is going to be the SP1 on the board here at 9K, facing off against Washington. Washington has not scored a run since Saturday. This is going to be the Thursday game, and they haven't scored in 5 days. Like, it's just insane. The drought that their offense is currently in. Wacha, he's been fine. It's not so much the matchup of Washington can't score at all. Like, Waka's honestly been very respectable. You can see he's almost averaging 20 DK points in his past 10 games. He's not going to be, blowing the doors down with a 10 strikeout performance, especially against Washington, who is a lower strikeout team in general. But all in all, Wacha is going to be the SP1. After him, it's definitely a large gap between like Keller, Anderson, and Rocker. The guy's priced above 8K. So massive gap there. Between the three of these guys, it's all pretty even in my opinion. Keller is going to be giving you the highest upside. He's got the toughest matchup on the board facing off against Milwaukee. Pay attention to lineups. Like, that's another thing as we kind of head throughout the end of the season here, is pay attention to the starting lineups, because some of them just might get a little watered down and a little bit weaker. I think based on tonight's results, I'm recording this the night before, Milwaukee is now locked into that third spot. I don't think they can catch the Dodgers or Phillies. I think maybe the Dodgers, if the Dodgers win, they're currently up 1-0, then they won't be able to. And so I think they're locked into that spot there. But yeah, so pay attention to this Milwaukee lineup. Who knows? But Keller, I think, is going to give you the most upside, but also his floor is just not so great. Anderson, facing off against the White Sox, we know all about the White Sox. And then Kumar Rocker, super highly touted prospect. Like, this guy has electric strikeout potential and upside. However, they're being really careful with him. You can see he's only gone 70 pitches, which, I mean, when you're only going 70 pitches and you're striking out a lot of guys, but you're also walking a lot of guys, it just means that you're going super deep into the counts almost with every single batter, which tends to lead to, you only allowed 3 hits in 4 innings, but you still accumulated 74 pitches in that time frame. So he's I guess serviceable if you're hoping for like an 8 to 9 strikeout performance, but I wouldn't really be expecting a 5-inning win out of him. Maybe, who knows? It's baseball, but it's also Oakland in their final series in the Coliseum, so that place is going to be rockin'. I tried to make a rocker joke. That didn't work. We'll have the editor clip that out. So it's Wacha and then a big gap, and then upside for Keller, and then Anderson and Rocker just in nice matchups. Savali in the mid-tier. Savali just kind of like stands alone all by himself. I think when you're just kind of looking at everybody else. Facing off against Pittsburgh, again, just kind of pay attention to the lineups as we go forward here. Because the remaining guys like Olsen, Alexander doesn't go super deep into games. You can see while he does pitch okay, we'll say. He's not really going above 55 to 60 pitches in any of his starts. And then Olsen, he's still kind of recovering from injury. He's got 2 starts under his belt now since that injury, but he only went 50 pitches and 58. So maybe he only sees 65 pitches. He's got a nice matchup, though, facing off against Tampa Bay. I think they were just eliminated tonight when they lost. So I think they're 5 games out now, and there's only 4 days left. So yeah, they're gone. Tampa Bay's out. But yeah, Olsen, pitch count, just pay attention to that. Not a whole lot of interest there. And then you got Ginn just kind of leftover facing off against Texas. Leftover. And then you get into the cheap pitchers of, hey, 2 of them are pitching in Coors. You got Patrick Corbin and Chris Flexen. Yeah, and that's all the pitchers. I mean, pitching is really, really ugly on this slate, but you can also see that, the bats aren't too exciting either. Down in this, cheaper tier, Corbin, I gotta give some respect to Corbin. He hasn't been that bad. Now, hear me out. He just has these massive blow-up starts that just absolutely wreck him. But when he's not having these just absolutely blow-up starts, just absolute disaster, he does fairly well. He's capable of going 5 to 6 innings and allowing, 2 or fewer earned runs. So it's going to be really intriguing to see what goes on here. He has been getting some strikeouts. His strikeout rate is up recently, and he's priced under $7K. Not that I think salary is going to be really any issue at all because we don't have any higher top-tier offenses. Facing off against Kansas City, Kansas City still has a lot to play for in terms of the playoff push. Yeah, going to be really intriguing. I think Kansas City is going to make for a fantastic GPP play, though. All right, so heading over to the bats, let's pull up the sheet here, just so you guys can kind of see where my brain was trying to comprehend everything. Waka, massive gap. Savali, massive gap in terms of their salary. And then Rocker, Keller, honestly it should be more Rocker / Keller, and then just kind of Anderson on his own facing off against the White Sox. Again, left over. And then these are just guys who I just have pitch count issues with. They're probably not going to be going past 60 pitches. So do I want to pay 8.5K for them? No, not really. And then the cheap tier, Corbin, Gibson. Freeland, honestly, has been kind of respectable. So we got to give a little bit of credit to Freeland here. Honestly, at home, am I remembering correctly? His home road splits, he's actually been pitching better at home this season. Yeah, he's got better numbers at home in Coors Field, which is crazy for a heavy curveball pitcher like him. Curveballs don't break as much. In that higher altitude. So it is kind of surprising to see that he has better numbers at home than he does away. But it is what it is, and we're going to trust it. So Freeland, I'm not putting him in the fade category because of that reason, because he has shown some level of promise. So heading over to the bats, again, I mentioned it's just really ugly. It's going to be Coors Field kind of leading the charge with St. Louis and Colorado. Guys like Mason Wynn, Jordan Walker, those righties for St. Louis are going to be kind of leading the charge, Arenado, Goldschmidt. But I don't mind any of those switch hitters or really the lefties in there either. I kind of already mentioned that Kansas City is going to be a really intriguing GPP play, in my opinion, especially if, Corbin's seeing a little bit more ownership, or kind of is projected to see a little bit more ownership, going to be a lot more heavy on Kansas City because, as I mentioned, and you could see it throughout the logs, when he's on, and he can shut down offenses. But when he's off, he's kind of got that Blake Snell, Aaron Nola, who's another example, Freddie Peralta, guys who, when they're just struggling and they don't have their A game, it gets really ugly quickly. So I'm definitely going to be having a lot more interest in Kansas City, especially because it's a nice pivot off the Coors Field game as well. The only issue, they still don't have Pasquantino, which is kind of a bummer. Over into the GPP side, Milwaukee, simply because they're one of the better, yeah, they're the best offense. I'm just kind of looking through here real quick. They're the best offense on the board, and I don't think many people are going to be flocking over to them. I feel like seeing Keller on the opposite side there, people are going to kind of be a little bit more hesitant. There's many other worse pitchers to be targeting, but Keller's still not an absolute ace stud, and Milwaukee is clearly the number 1 offense on the board. So combine those two things with some projected projected lower ownership, I think that Milwaukee could be a really intriguing play in that regard. Detroit, kind of the same deal. Detroit, they've what a playoff push that this team has given. It is just awesome. I really hope they make it for their fans and everything. But yeah, Detroit is kind of the same deal, and I like their GPP possibilities there. And then cheap, Oakland, LA. LA facing off against Flexen, obviously, and then Oakland facing off against Kumar Rocker. But it's also, again, just the hype of Oakland kind of giving a good send-off to their fans and the city of Oakland, or who knows what kind of send-off they're going to be giving, and there's probably not even any credence to it. But we're just going to throw them in there because, honestly, do you want to throw the White Sox there? No. Do you want to throw Tampa Bay in there? No, not really. There's not much else to look towards. So this is kind of where we're going to be sending things off. I appreciate all the support throughout the course of the season, truly. It means a lot that you guys stuck around throughout the course of the year. Mega Ruler is still going to be back tomorrow for Friday's recap, but then we're going to be off for the weekend. And yeah, I don't know what the playoffs are going to be looking like. Maybe look out for a preview video for like the first round. But yeah, so thanks for watching. As always, we'll see you next year.